Hello, and welcome to this Minecraft tutorial on how to create a clickable menu in Minecraft with custom callbacks. This is a very useful feature for adventure map creators as well as server owners because it's a very easy to use display for users and has a very powerful callback functionality. So for this tutorial, I'm using a very basic example, but it can be expanded to have much more capabilities. So I'll start off by doing a quick demo of the feature and then show you how to build this. So when the user logs into a world, they're taken to a menu that looks like this, and each item in the menu gets highlighted when the user hovers over it, and once the user clicks on one, a callback is run, and in this example, the player is teleported into some sort of game. When the user logs out and joins again, they're taken back to the menu where they can click on each option again. Another callback is run. So that is the feature, and now let's go and see how it works. So here's what it all looks like. Over here is where the player is teleported when they choose to join a game, and this black box is where they're teleported if they choose quit. And over here is where you have the menu being displayed with the three maps for the three different states the menu can be in. So to create this menu in Minecraft, first what you want to do is create the three maps with the three different options for what the user can see. Obviously this will change based off how many options you want, but for this tutorial there are only three different maps that we need to display. So yeah, this is what it looks like when to create a map. So when you're creating your menu, you're going to want to basically write out the text and then create your maps to display on the menu for later. Once you've created all your maps, you're going to want to save which numbers they are because they're going to be summoned into the menu in this area right here using these commands. So to summon one of these maps, it is pretty simple. It's just a summon command of an item frame to specific coordinates, and you're going to want it to face whatever block that it's being placed on, and then you're going to summon the item with a custom, or the item frame with a custom item in it, which is going to be a filled map with a tag of the map number that you want. So this is map number 1, and that fills in the first map right here. Now this is running, so it's constantly deleting right here and not filling it in because there's no user currently looking at the menu. But if we were to put us into the menu mode, then we get the menu displaying here like that. So now let's go and look at the commands and see how this works. So here are all the commands that run for this menu. These four commands are only run once as an initialization for the scoreboard. As you see here, this one sets the logout score for when a player leaves the game. This one is a dummy score for vertical, and this tracks the user's vertical rotation. This one is a click, is the click score, and it is incremented whenever a player kills a chicken. This is used to track when a player has selected an item in the menu. And lastly, this one is the menu, which is used by the other commands to set when a player wants to view the menu. So the rest of these commands are constantly running. The first one is always updating the player's score and stores the result of the player's Y rotation into the score vertical. We use this to track which item of the menu the player is looking at, which is used in both these commands, which render the map, and then also these functions, which run the callbacks. So next we'll look at these functions and see how we displayed the maps. So first thing we want to do is we want to kill the item frames that display the map options, or the menu options, sorry. So yeah, one of these three maps are always being displayed based off the player's vertical value. If the player's vertical value is too high, then we're going to display the map with 0 options highlighted, this map right here. And again, if the player's vertical rotation is too low, we also want to display the menu with no highlighted options. These two functions right here are going to display one of the two options highlighted based off of the vertical values. So when the player is looking at this option, it highlights it, but when you go too high, it sets it back to none selected. And yeah, so that's how those work. And lastly, then we're going to want to tag the map that has the menu options right here. So when so we can then delete it again and then redraw the menu. So once we render the menu properly, now we can implement the callbacks. So first thing we want to do is first teleport the player to the location of the map with the right distance and orientation. Whoops. Like this. So the user always sees the correct highlighted options based off the rotation, because if they step too far back, now the items don't line up with the player's vertical rotation. So yeah, we teleport the player to the right distance from the menu. So once we teleport the player, then we're going to set their score menu to 1, meaning that the player is currently looking at the menu but has not selected an item yet. Next, we're going to summon an invisible chicken to just in front of the menu. Now let's see the chicken if it was not invisible. As you see, the chicken is spawned directly in front of the map, so when the player clicks, it actually kills that chicken, but since it's invisible for when it's properly running, the player doesn't realize that there's even a chicken in front of them, and it looks like they're just clicking on a menu option. But with the chicken being killed, it is an easily trackable event using scoreboards. And that scoreboard updates the value, or the score click, and that's how we know the user has selected an item, and now it's time to go to a callback, which is these 4 functions. So these 4 functions run like this. First, we're going to set the menu to 0, meaning the player is ready to leave the menu. Then we look for the appropriate callback to call. So the player has the vertical value -10 to -5. That means they were looking at the first option, which was join game. So we teleport them to this location. And if they have a vertical value of -15 to 11, that means they clicked on the quit option, and we teleport them to this value. And then finally, we want to set the click score of that player back to 0. So everything is ready to be used again if the player wants to visit the menu again. And yeah, that's all the functions that go into creating this menu with the callbacks, and you're ready to start implementing it into any of your adventure maps. I hope this helps.